Hi there, welcome to the fifth and last of the Build Me Up sessions. We've made it all the way up to a 20-minute workout. Now, I'm not going to tell you more about what we're doing yet. I'm going to tell you that while we get into some light rowing. So, let's get our machine set up first. Head to the front on a Concept 2 and set your drag factor to where you want it to be. If you're on a non-Concept 2, then just set the resistance so that you get a good weight from the stroke, but you don't have to heave against it, okay? Next up, set your monitor to eye height, so you don't have to look up, you don't have to look down. And finally, get those foot stretchers to a height where you're able to come to the front of the machine with your shins pointing vertically comfortably, okay? If you're set too high, you might get a bit bound up. If you're set too low, you might go scooting straight past and hyperextending things, okay? So, light rowing to start. We're just going to get the body moving, all right? So you don't have to worry about intensity or anything like that. Just get moving, all right? So here we go then. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. So just get that body moving. Remember, you get the force into the machine by pushing your legs into the foot plates and connecting your hands to the handle and then the handle to the flywheel or water wheel, whatever you're using, at the same time. So you push with your feet and connect with your hands at the same time, and that makes whatever makes your machine go. So just think about that. Remember, and hold your arms nice and straight and relaxed at the front as you push those legs in to pick up the flywheel and put the power in. Sorry, I completely fluffed my line then. Anyway, right. What we're doing today is 20-minute row with no rests. We're going to do the first 3 minutes at 20 strokes a minute, then 1 minute at 24 and 1 minute at 28. So the same stroke rates we've been using this whole series. But the 3 minutes of 20s, we're going to do 1 minute light rowing, that kind of 6 out of 10. Then we're going to take 1 minute where we really up the power. Keep the stroke rate the same, but you push harder with your legs. And then back down to another minute of 6 out of 10 light rowing at 20 again. And then we're going to do all of this 4 times to make the 20 minutes. Last stroke here. Don't worry if that all sounded a little bit confusing. I will, of course, talk you through this row as we're doing it. It's not really that confusing. 3 minutes at 20, 1 at 24, 1 at 28. That makes 5 minutes. Do all that 4 times. 20 minutes will be up. Okay, so it's a little bit of variety of the stroke rate still, a little bit of variety of intensity as well, and it should make this 20 minutes absolutely fly by. Right, I'm just going to load in the 20 minutes using ErgZone. I have remembered today, to clear out from the just row, because that made ErgZone hiccup the other day. So, if you haven't already had a drink, have a drink now just to make sure that you are nicely hydrated and all that kind of stuff, and you don't get a dry mouth through this. I, of course, haven't listened to my own advice here, so I'm going to end up... Anyway, are you ready for this? So we start at 20 strokes a minute, and at the pace that we've been doing most of our 20s at, that kind of lighter, kind of 5 or 6 out of 10 effort, all right? I'll keep you right, don't worry. Here we go then, in 3, 2, 1, let's go. So, 20 strokes a minute is 1 stroke every 3 seconds. So you can look at your timer to get that right, or you can just row along with me. On the video, you can just see when I take a stroke, so you drive, when I drive, and you recover when I recover. If you're just listening to me, then the whoosh of the flywheel might be enough. So we're about to hit our first 1 minute change up. So all you're going to do is put more of a push from your legs into the machine. And hopefully you should see your pace will improve. 2 more strokes. 1 more. Here we go. So push hard with the legs, push, and then recover. Push. You'll probably find that your drive speed increases a little bit because you are pushing harder with the legs. But all that means is that your recovery is then a little bit slower. So you're still taking 3 seconds over each stroke, but your drive is a little faster and your recovery is a little slower. Okay, 3 more to go, and then we just stick at 20s, but back to that 6 out of 10 lighter pace. Here we go. So just back off the intensity, and you'll go back to the previous drive speed and recovery. Remember, it's all about rhythm, about getting a good rhythm ratio between drive and recovery. You're dancing with the machine. Okay, next up, we're just gonna increase the stroke rate to 24 strokes a minute. And you'll do that by pushing a little harder with the legs to drive faster, but then also recover a little faster. After this one, here we go. So push a little harder for a faster drive, and then you complement that faster drive with a slightly faster recovery, and that should mean that your stroke rate is up at 24 and your pace will maybe jump up 4 or 5 seconds. Okay, so 8 strokes to go, and then we'll go up to our first set of 28s. 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So again, push a little harder to get the drive phase up, but get that handle away from you again, nice and quick, but fluidly, please, so you can get a faster recovery again, and that should result in a faster stroke rate and maybe another 5 or 6 seconds of pace increase. Okay, 2 more, 1 more, and back down to 20 strokes per minute, and that easier intensity. If you feel you need to slow down a little bit more than you were before to recover from the 28s, especially if you are just building yourself up and you're starting to feel a bit tired, then don't worry about backing off the pace on this first 1 minute coming out the 28s. Okay, so in 3 strokes time, we're gonna Up the power, but keep the stroke rate. Last one. You ready? Here we go. So you should hear the tone of your machine change as you push more power into the machine. It'll get louder and higher pitched as it spins faster in response to that extra power. But do keep those arms nice and straight and that forward lean as you push your feet into the machine. 2 more. 1 more. And then back off the intensity, but keep the stroke rate. So you can see, hopefully by now, that there's 2 ways to go faster when you're rowing. You can increase power, or you can increase stroke rate. And obviously, the baby bear version is to increase power and stroke rate. And that's how you get the most speed out of your body. Okay. Going up to 24s in 3 strokes time. Last one. Here we go. 24s. Because it's quite easy to think that you only ever put in the same kind of push with your legs, regardless of the stroke rate. But depending on what you're trying to do, that all depends how much power you put in. If you're in a race, you want to be putting in as much power as possible and as high a stroke rate as you can manage, so that basically through the course of a race you put everything in, both muscles and cardio. Okay, 2 more strokes, 1 more, up to 28, come on. Keep that flow, okay? You'll notice that there's never a point in my stroke when I am stopped. I'm not holding the handle in to my chest at the back of the stroke, and I'm not pausing at the front of the stroke before the drive, or the middle of the stroke after I rock into that forward lean. Everything flows. It's like Tai Chi. Okay, 2 more. 1 more. And now down to 20 strokes a minute with that lighter intensity. Now hopefully through the course of this Build Me Up series you have developed the power and the fitness and hopefully the technique to make it this far into the workout without being too tired out. But like they're all designed to do, it is meant to push you, to help you build up. 3 strokes To go. Last one. Then up the power, but keep the rates. Here we go. Push with those legs. Arms straight. Body tilting forwards over your hips into a 1 o'clock tilt towards the front of the machine. And then hold those straight arms and the forward tilt as you push your legs in to the machine. Push that machine away from you. And then only when your legs are about halfway through the leg drive do you finally swing over your back and then pull in your arms. 2 more. 1 more. There we go. Ease off the intensity. Keep the rate. Now as we get through the next 8 minutes, do pay attention to how your body feels if you are building yourself up after injury or illness. If you're a new rower, then going too hard and tiring yourself out in this session isn't too much of a bad thing. But if you're injured or coming back from illness, you want to make sure that you're working within the range that you know you're capable of. Okay, 3, 2, 1, up to 24s again. Here we go. Can you believe how quick this time is flying by? We're almost into our last set of 5-minute chunks. And part of that is by only ever looking 1 minute ahead on this row, you're never really concentrating on the fact it's 20 minutes in total. It's a really easy mind game to play with yourself. You should just break longer rows into smaller chunks. Okay, 3, 2, 1, up to 28, come on. Just push harder with the legs. Make sure to get a full leg drive into the machine. Get those legs down at the back of the stroke. Nice soft lock of the knees. And then handle away to trigger your recovery, and make sure to slide forwards until your shins are vertical. I don't want you to take a shorter stroke just because the rate is high. Almost there. 3, 2, 1. Back to 20s. And that easier pace. 6 out of 10. Or if you feel that you need to back off another couple of seconds to make sure this isn't too much for you, then please do. This is, after all, a build me up session, not a beat me up session. I just came up with that. So you're meant to, at the end of this workout, feel like it's been a good workout, but again, not leave you lying on the floor because you're so destroyed. Live to fight another day. 2 more. Last one. And then we're up to more power, but same stroke rate. Push those legs into the machine. Keep those arms straight until the back of the stroke. If you look down and see your elbows bending early at the front of the machine as you fight against the power, please try and avoid it. Keep those arms straight and only pull at the back. If you have to fight and heave against it, there's a chance your drag factor or your resistance is too high. 2 more. 1 more. And back off the intensity, but keep the stroke rate. So yeah, if you're set rowing with too heavy a weight from your machine, so it feels like you have to wrench against it, try and back it off a little bit so that you can do what I'm saying about keeping those arms straight and only pulling at the back of the stroke. Because seriously, I'm straight pull, straight pull. It's just at the back that I'm using my arms. That power should just flow from your legs, through your back, into your arms and into the handle. 2, 1, up to 24s. Last time. Just more of a push. Feel that power surge from your legs, through your body, into your shoulders, down through your arms, into your fingers, which are hooked over the handle, okay? Not a death grip. You just hook them, and that lets the power flow into the handle in a straight line through your arms. Okay, almost there. Oh, I'm finally starting to sweat. 3, 2, 1. Last set of 28s. Come on. It's up to you how you want to finish. Do you want to put in as much power as you can, but holding this stroke rate? Or do you just want to be sensible and keep the same pace that you have for the 3 28 strokes a minute sections previous to this one? Almost there. Less than 20 seconds. Keep that power pushing from the legs. Keep those arms straight. Finish powerfully with your arms. 2, 1. Oh. So my heart rate's up, nice and high where it should be after a session like that. My breathing's up. Still feel so my chest is still taking a bit of a kicking from the higher, deeper breathing, so I know that I'm still not quite ready to go into any kind of maximum effort stuff. So I'm just going to continue to build up the duration that I can row for. So even though the Build Me Up series is going to stop at 20, then remember you can come back and you can do like the 15 later or tomorrow or whatever. then back to 20. Then you can look at other workouts I've got here on the channel. I've got a 25-minute row that you could just dial into to just add in that extra 5 minutes. And then I've got a whole bunch of interval workouts. I've got half an hour workouts, 40, 45, 56, anything you can think of basically I've got up here. Anyway, let's get into our cool down before I start ranting now and we all get too cool. We're going to do exactly the same thing that we always do, where we're going to do 30 seconds with one foot on the ground and one in the straps, swap feet. Then we're going to do arms and back only and then legs only. So here we go then. In 3, 2, 1, let's cool down. Which sounds a bit strange to say let's cool down as you actually start putting in effort. So, even though I'm setting you free after this one from a Build Me Up series, I really hope that the way I've been building these up for you has worked and that you are fitter and stronger than you were when you started. Swap your feet. Because I think back to only 6 days ago when I first sat down for that 5 minutes, and it was a tough 5-minute row for me, having only been a week into my recovery from COVID. So now I've been able to do this 20-minute row. I really wouldn't have thought I'd have been able to manage it even only like a week or so later. Right, both feet in, legs straight, row with your back and arms. So you're swinging over your hips, then you pull in your arms. Okay, there's not much time between the swing and the pull, but it's important that you pick up the weight of the flywheel with that back swing first. Then arms away and rock forwards again, back over your hips. Let's do one more of these and then roll to the front of the machine, arms straight, forward lean, and just press out with your legs. Try to keep a good posture here. I find quite often that I kind of slump a little bit at the front when I'm doing this drill. So still try and have a powerful posture, holding those arms at a neutral height, nice and relaxed in front of you, ready to brace against the power from your legs and hold that position of the forward lean and the straight arms. Let's do one more here. Ooh. There we go. You of course don't have to stop cooling down. You can continue to do some light rowing just to give yourself an extra couple of minutes work, just to let your body ease down, or if you want to climb off the machine, then you can join him in doing some off the machine stretching. Okay, so I go through hamstrings, hip flexors, quads, glutes, shoulders, back, head, shoulders, knees and toes. No, I don't dance. But yeah, so just follow along with him. And it's important to stretch just to try and let the body kind of ease itself into its kind of cooling down. Whether you should stretch before, certainly you should warm up first, very light rowing like what we did today. Then you could maybe add in some stretching if you needed to, but I'd never stretch a cold muscle. I think that would be almost like, you know, if you leave a rubber band in a drawer for too long and it petrifies, it goes all kind of solid and hard, and then you pull it and it just and snaps on you. That's why I think my lower back would be like if I tried to stretch without it being warm first. So anyway, sorry, where did I go? So I hope you enjoyed, I think I said this is the third time I'm saying this now, the entire series from the 5, 7, 10, 12, 15 and now 20 minutes for the Build Me Up. I mean, hopefully there's been enough variety in here for you to experience the different ways you can row. I mean, today's was the kind of culmination of that idea where you get the lower rate at 20 strokes a minute, but then you get that lower rate with more power to see that that's how you can go faster. You should have hopefully seen that you've gone 3 seconds or faster whenever you've been pushing harder with your legs. And same stroke rate, and I'm going faster. Interesting. But then you can increase your stroke rate by going up to the 24s and the 28s, and then that also takes you faster. Now, of course, you have to push harder with the legs in order to get that stroke rate up. But you should also have realized that just to get up to that stroke rate, you were rowing with however much power from your legs, but you probably had more in you. That if I'd have said to you, right, at 24 now I want you to go even harder, you would have had more capacity in your legs to push harder, but you just didn't, because I didn't tell you to. So So really, this is about the control of your body when it comes to rowing. So this is where, as I let you run free and you start to do other things, always remember that if you want to sit down and do a half-hour row, you don't start absolutely all guns blazing, eye bulging, you're breathing out your ears, and then like a minute and a half into that row, you have to slow right down because you've absolutely gubbed yourself. and then you have to kind of limp all the way home for that 30. You kind of think, right, okay, so it's a 30-minute row. Obviously, I'm not going to go full power. Obviously, I'm not going to go up at 30 strokes a minute. If I'm just trying to get a fitness workout from here, I'm just going to kind of plod along at a good rate. And then you can, towards when you get to about 25 minutes in, if you're like, you know what, I want a little bit more intensity, you can then up your stroke rate or up your power to be able to go faster and then to work harder and then to end up on the floor because you've absolutely tired yourself out, which is good. As long as you're on the floor just tired, you're not on the floor because you've just like really injured yourself. I do remember the gym I used to be a member of. The amount of times I'd do a session and then just kind of fall off the machine afterwards, lying on the floor, and I'm just like sucking in air, trying to get. And then I'd have one of the PTs would come over and go, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. But yeah." So it's up to you how you want to do it. So you can either sit down and you can do like a long, slow row, or you can start to increase your pace, or you can do like a 2K, which would probably be around about, I don't know, between 7 and 10 minutes, but it's like a full effort. So then you are putting in as much power as you can, and you're putting the stroke rate up as high as you can. So that's ways that you can kind of adapt your own body. But what you'll find is that the rows that I have on this channel, all the ones that I have that are either parts of a training plan or that are standalone workouts, I mean, all the training plan ones you can do is standalone, they all kind of play with this idea of stroke rate and power kind of coming together so that you have a kind of a way to control yourself. So it's like the 20 strokes per minute, I tend to always do around about your 2K average pace plus 18 seconds. 2K average pace is basically you row a 2 kilometer time trial, divide the result by 4, and then the resulting time by 4, and then that gives you your average 500 meter time. So if you did it in 8 minutes 20, your average would be 2 minutes and 5 seconds. And so that's your average pace to row 500 meters. And on the Concept 2, that's one of the ways that it'll display how fast you're rowing. And so you can then go, okay, so my 2K average pace plus 18 seconds. So in this case, that would be 205 plus 18. You'd be rowing at 223 pace. And that's kind of how I do the pacing, rather than the whole 6 out of 10 thing or whatever gets a little bit woolly after a while. So you have to be very honest with yourself if you're using this RPE scale. So anyway, just a little kind of a taster for you, just in case you are going to, which I hope you will, go and seek out more of my workouts. And they're all kind of similar to this in terms of what I talk about. I talk technique, I talk motivation. It's all motivating waffle. I talk about food, I talk about Dead Mouse, I talk about Van Halen, drumming, my life, my kids, whatever, just to try and keep you entertained, intrigued, motivated, and whatever to be able to get through these sessions. So hopefully, as long as you're not tired of my voice by now anyway, you will seek out some of my other workouts and plans and things, and then you'll help yourself build up further and longer. Or you can just come back over this, build me up, and just keep on doing this over and over again. That'd be a bit dull after a while, though, wouldn't it? Right, so I'm going to go, because we're all done. It's time for us to say goodbye to the Build Me Up series and go on to other, bigger, better things. So I certainly felt the benefit of this series. So thank you so much for being on the other end of the camera and giving me a reason to make these videos and to be a bit more sensible about my own development rather than just going to sit down one day and go, I'm going to row for 20 minutes and then just going and falling off the machine in an injured way. So anyway, I hope you've responded well. I hope if you're just building up because you're a new rower that you're feeling great and ready for better things. I hope if you're built up off after injury that you've recovered well enough to do better things. And I hope if you've been building up after illness that you have been taking it sensibly and you're the one that I want to take most care of. Okay, so you do not want to give yourself a secondary infection by going too hard. Okay, so the injured people, I don't want you to re-injure yourself. That's important. But if you've come in like me from COVID, then you don't want to go too hard, too fast, too soon, and suddenly develop long COVID, because that sounds nasty, and nobody wants that. So there we go. I'm all done. He's hopefully all done. I will see you in another video. Thank you so much for being part of this with me. Make sure and leave me a comment and tell me how you got on, of course. Please do. Right, I will see you in another video. Stay safe. Be well. Bye-bye.